My name is Tex. In case you haven't been here before, these are TEX Talks. These are things that come up, discussions during the week that I try to share some of the stuff that's came up that will help you figure out maybe something in your life you're trying to figure out, decide, think about, wondering about. Sometimes it's got to do with doing things to feel happier or, work through some sadness in your life or maybe some anxiety or some other problem that you have that you're going through. So I discussed this week with somebody this concept of the true self versus the ideal self. The conversation came up because there was a lot of anxiety in this person's life and some sadness related to what they felt they should be. And both of these concepts just kind of fit nicely into some of the work by a German psychoanalyst by the name of Karen Horney. Now, this individual, she come up with the idea, and as all people do, all philosophers, all psychoanalysts, all counselors, therapists, we pull ideas from lots of places. But since these tend to match very closely to some of the stuff she talked about, I wanted to go into a little bit of detail on those things. One concept was the idea that you have this idealized self. This is the person that you really think is the perfect you, the person that you feel you either want to be or you might even think you are. And then you have the real you. And the perfect you might feel that, yes, I am ultimately the best, most generous, kindest, greatest person, and that I do listen to other people, and I'm very calm and respectful and all these things, because that is the idealized you. Whatever it is that you feel is this perfect picture of you. And the real you might be quite different, or it might be the same. And if you can picture it as two spheres coming together, in other words, the way it looks when the moon is starting to get eclipsed, and as it slowly goes over, when it gets to be this, that means that the idealized self and the real self are pretty much congruent, which means that they go along with each other. When they're not, there's an incongruency here. Now, what do I mean by incongruent? So if you talk to somebody and they're telling you that, they didn't eat the chocolate cake, and you're asking them, did you eat the chocolate cake? And they're sitting here going, no, I didn't eat the chocolate cake. You can see how their body language is depicting one thing and their words another. And a lot of times when you talk to somebody, you get that uneasy feeling because the individual is talking and saying things, but you just get the feeling they don't believe what it is they're saying. Now, some people will do that deliberately. Some people will do it indeliberately. They will do it accidentally. They will feel that it should be this way when it's not, and you'll see the difference. Sometimes there are tells in people, but sometimes people truly just don't know that they're not depicting things as they are in reality. Where does it start to cause anxiety in you? Well, you're trying to make things fit. So when you look in the mirror or you look at other people and see what they reflect back to you, you get very upset when things aren't consistent. And then you start with, these shoulds, which again, this is a saying from Karen, the tyranny of the shoulds, where we again get up and start talking about, well, I should be this way, you should be that way, everything should be this way, and people shouldn't do this. And I've heard the expression, quit shoulding all over yourself. Should is one of those vicious words. The 4 words that's in another video of mine, I tell you, please try not to use or use judiciously. So the thing is you get caught up then with things that aren't right, and it starts to frustrate you. Sometimes it will get to an even more complex level where you feel that this is you, the real you's over here, and then you got the you that everyone's trying to make you be, trying to get you to be this thing or whatever. And you start getting very confused, because then you have all these shattered images of what I should be, like, oh, I should be, making more money now. I should be more popular. I should have more friends. Uh, Even then, when it comes to things you're doing wrong in your life that you're doing wrong, like you're doing something unhealthy, and I know I should stop, then stop, you know. And yes, I know it's not always that easy. The concept is, though, is you have these shattered parts of self everywhere, and instead of, it's like the fear of the real self. You don't want to go back and look at the real you. And when you don't look at the real you, progress can't be made. And to me, this is one of the ultimate messages of the you that is the real you, the real self, and the idealized, is that if you don't actually have a good accountability for where you're at right now, how can you improve? In other words, it's like trying to keep up with the Joneses and pretend to be rich. You've spent so much money pretending to be better off than you are, that you can't make actual improvements on where you are in order to actually be better and maybe one day achieve that goal of a certain level of wealth, because you're too busy pretending, too busy ignoring the facts, and not working on the things that can actually be worked on to make that change. So the first step is actually having a very real and genuine, forgiving and kind and compassionate appraisal of the self. Where are you now? Who are you? What are you doing? And then, without being so angry at yourself, look at it and go, okay, this is where I am, whether it's your job, your education, your behaviors, or whatever it is that you're looking, really truly look at it and go, okay, this is me. And then you can set goals and go, and this is where I would like to be. And always, looking at goals and going, okay, this is a goal, but is it measurable? Is it realistic? Is it doable? Okay. Do I have the resources, or do I need to get resources in order to do it? And let's start on it. And that's how you go towards goals. When you put yourself out for unrealistic goals, the idealized self, because many times this will be a self that isn't really achievable. I'm not saying you can't do great things, but if you don't have the wherewithal to win the Nobel Prize today, some people will go, well, you should never set limits and tell people that they can't achieve things. You got to be realistic, if you're 70 years old and you've never played a day of basketball in your life, I don't necessarily see you playing and being one of the lead players in the NBA, unless you buy the team and then demand they put you up there, which, again, whole different story. So realistically, finding goals that you can achieve. And here's the thing, as you achieve goals, you feel better about achieving higher goals. You get more confidence. This is where confidence comes from, achieving goals and showing that you have the capability to do things, and you keep moving up faster and faster. The other part is finding contentment. If you feel you can only be happy when you reach the idealized, in other words, you've put yourself in that conundrum. I can only be happy when I have this. Now, there may be lots of reasons why you do that, but you've set up an idealized self that can't be achieved many times. And then even when you achieve it, you didn't really truly look at where you was at to figure out, well, maybe it's not this that's stopping me from being happy. Maybe it's something else I'm doing that's stopping me from being happy. So an honest assessment of self, who you are, and then from there, work your way through and figure out, okay, where do I want to be? Why do I want to be there? Realistically, what will I have when I get there? Is it doable? How much do I want to pay to get there? One of my first questions for therapy, when I ask people, what do you want? What are you willing to do to get there? And being honest. Always working to be honest with yourself. This is how you find out the real you, the real self. Okay? So that gives you a start about thinking about what's going on and starting to do an honest appraisal of yourself. And if you need to, seek out professional help, or if you have really good friends, sometimes they can help you. I'm not talking about the yes friends, the ones who'll tell you yes to whatever you say. I'm talking about real, true friends who'll sit there and say, yeah, you lose your temper a little bit too much. Or, I understand at work you're having an issue and you don't feel like you got promoted to where you deserve, but they can actually tell you, but you honestly, you showed up late a few times, you haven't been pulling your load, you're grumpy at work, you complain a lot. You need to know those things about yourself. See, this is the value of honest friends who let you know where you're really at, because these are the ones who will also help you achieve what you want in life by letting you get an honest picture of your real self. Okay? So you have a great Sunday. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're enjoying some of this beautiful weather that we're getting. You take care. Namaste.